right, you're welcome to the program. It's another very wonderful afternoon of Faculty. And of course, Faculty is a public affairs program on Delta Broadcasting Service Television, Asaba, every weekday. Today's topic is going to be very exciting because it's the period where we need this kind of topic. We're looking at tackling insecurity in the country, more vis-a-vis Delta State. And insecurity has been a very evasive acronym put forward by a lot of people to narrate and project the present situation that we have found ourselves in this country. A lot of factors can be attributed to the insecurity of life and properties. Some say political tension, some say lack of jobs, some say influx of insurgents into our country, and of course, so many other factors, but poverty being the underlying factor. Insecurity breeds a lot of menace, talking about killings, maiming, ritual killings, Yahoo, and you name it. And the prospects of our generation, youthful generation, having their future thrown to the dogs. That is one particular issue that we are going to be tackling today on this program. And to do justice to the very diverse and expansive topic of insecurity in Nigeria vis-a-vis Delta State, I have two eminent public affairs analysts and gentlemen with me here in the studio. To my far left is a regular face on the studio, but it's been quite a while having him on my program. He's none other person than Victor OJ, aka Wongbox. You're welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
And of course, a writer, a public affairs analyst, a commentator, and of course, a politician. The person of Comrade Omoso, you're welcome. Chika Omoso, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, viewers.
Yes, we're going to be looking at tackling insecurity. First of all, let me start with you, Victor OJ. What is insecurity, basically, as a word? What can you ascribe as insecurity?
Insecurity or security? Security has to do with protection.
Insecurity in Nigeria right now.
Is the lack of protection, for our citizens.
Okay.
You see, this issue of insecurity in Nigeria has its foundation from after that Biafran War. Yeah. That was when the crime rate started in Nigeria. Because prior to the Biafran War, Nigeria-Biafran War, I recall that my grandmom told me that here in Asaba at Obogonogo market, when she goes to sell her wares, she usually don't pack them when she finish for the day. She leaves them at the Obogonogo market the way it is. And if she comes back the next day, everything is still there. That they started stealing after the Nigerian Biafran War. That was when they started experiencing robbery. And you know what war attracts. Yeah. So the military regime also did not do good to the Nigerian democratic system because of they were always toppling the democratic system. Yeah. Despite their reasons for toppling those democratic system is due to corrupt practices and ethnicity. You know, after the Biafran, in fact, it was ethnicity that led to the Biafran War in Nigeria. And despite efforts of the government on its own, we are talking about the Federal Character Act that led to the creation of the 6 geopolitical zones, which has a goal to balance power sharing or benefit sharing. If there are 2 positions in Nigeria, one goes to north, one goes to south. If there are 4 positions in Nigeria, 2 to north, 2 to south. If there are 6, one will go to each of the geopolitical zones. But we all know that is a fallacy currently in the country because of favoritism. People want to favor their region. Yeah. So the insecurity in Nigeria also has to do with the suppression of the minority constitution in 1979. You know, there were 2 groups in 1979. The group led by Chief Rotimi Williams and the other group was that for the majority constitution. Yeah. While the minority constitution was led by the late Bala Usman and then Dr. Shegun Oshoba. We all know that the minority constitution would have made Chapter 2 of the Constitution justiciable by way of ensuring that the youths are well employed. And those who are not employed, they will be on a welfare package or welfare system. And of course, we should not, when you talk about insecurity or security, we should know that the poor socioeconomic aspect of the youth, mostly the youth, because the old ones are not the ones that are involved in the insecurity in terms of actively to carry out the insecurity.
Yes, we're going to come to that. Now, for the benefit of our viewers, I want to rephrase our topic from tackling insecurity to rising cases of insecurity in Nigeria. So that's what we're going to be looking at. Now, Chika Omoso, public affairs. Let's look at the rising cases of insecurity in Nigeria. I'll come back to you because you were leading us to, but I want to follow us the trajectory so that our viewers and listening audience would understand. Talk about the rising insecurity in Nigeria. What can be ascribed to that?
First to talk about insecurity. Insecurity will not exist where security exists. Okay. So insecurity is the absence of security. And what is security actually? It's every measure you take against espionage, attack, crime, escape. Because if something is not supposed to live here, and you don't provide security, and the thing lives there, it is insecurity. And if something is supposed to live here, and you protect it from doing what it's supposed to do, you're also causing insecurity because it will lead to effect outside. There is no effect without the cause. A lot of things are happening in this country, and one of the major problems, for me, I love history, but history is to tell you where you are coming from. However, when a government is elected, when a government comes to power, an administration is supposed to solve problems. It's not supposed to tell us history, how it all started. We want to see it stop. That's part of the administration of any society. So I want to say specifically that one of the problems we have is that most of our leaders are not prepared for leadership. They don't know what it takes to put forward the things they're supposed to do as leadership. And they are not proactive, they are reactive. Yeah. Remember I said, even in this studio some times ago, when they banned I would take a case study of my state, especially as about where I reside and where a lot of things has happened in the recent past. When they banned bike, there are a lot of things that led to the banning of bike in Asaba. And I said categorically, the public relations officer of the Nigerian police was here. I said, it looks like the security people, they are looking for extra work. The work they are having is not enough for them. And it appeared as though maybe I was encouraging crime on all of that. But no, I want to blow my trumpet a little bit. I had finished my study, a 5-year course in the university, when I decided to undergo a study of security, criminology and security studies. And that was because I was asking myself, why crime? When there are opportunities for people to strive, to try in an area and then make success, make life, make a living, something, a life that is enjoyable, why would they go into crime? So I decided I felt I was still young and I needed that knowledge, and I went in to do that. And then when I finished, I said, okay, if people are going into crime, how can you make for peace and security? How can you resolve all these things? And I discovered that security is not about carrying gun and mounting a post. There is a new trend of security. It is called human security. Because if you increase the number of policemen in town today and people are hungry, those policemen will be engaged a lot of the times. But if people are meaningfully engaged, then you don't even need much of the security men. Exactly. You don't need much of the guns. So when we talk about security, I think we're still handling the traditional way of security of getting more force, more machineries, more men to mount guard. How can we limit the mounting of guard? It is for us to begin to talk about human security, to talk about taking care of the economic well-being of the people, the social well-being of the people. It's very paramount.
That is looking like the solution. Let me come back to you. Now, we're looking at the rising cases of insecurity. Can you make references and, of course, throw more light on your perspective as a member, a leader of a non-governmental organization? Let's look at the rising cases of insecurity in Nigeria, and especially in our state, Delta State. Give us some red flag areas and what experiences, what are those indicators that people should look out for?
The government has failed in its duty of care for the OVCs, the orphan and vulnerable children. Take, for instance, in Zamfara State a few years ago, it was announced that only 28 students were writing WAEC in the entire state. that are made up of, that has a population that is worth millions, you know. So, and you know, in cases like that where people are not well educated, because education has a very it has a huge impact on human capital. So in such regions, you will find out that the rate of crime will be on the high alert, by way of bandits will come and recruit from those children, you know, catch them young. Boko Haram will recruit, kidnappers, terrorists. You see that even here in Asaba now as we speak, when you go to Summit Road at night, Koka, DBS Road, off Manam Road, before the military market, you will take note that there are a lot of minors. Even when you get to some traffic, you see some minor kids, children, of which you know that these children are orphans or they are vulnerable kids. What is the government doing about that? What effort has the government made to either take care of those children, to either trace the family? Because some of them, when you ask them where they are from, they tell you that they are from Ebonyi State. Some of them are even from Niger Republic. Some of them are from the northern Nigeria. Now, what effort is the Nigerian immigration? I mean, what effort has the immigration in Delta State made, or the state government made, to make sure that these children are looked into? What efforts has they made? The answer is nothing. Now, in terms of those that, you know, like we said earlier, security or insecurity has nothing to do with security architecture by way of getting more security patrol team of vehicles, more grenade, more bullets. No, we should also think about or look towards the direction of the social aspect of crime control by way of welfare system. Okay, what is the government doing? Because the primary aim of government is the welfare and security. That's why you see I'm trying to hold the government accountable, to let them know that it is their duty, the welfare and security of our people. What effort? Look, do you know that in other climes, the government has record of those that are employed, those that are unemployed? The government, they have record, and they work towards ensuring that those that don't have job, they have a welfare package for them. That's why when you go to places like Finland, Sweden, or most European countries, you find out that these countries has less crime rates. Because of what? There is a welfare system from the government. The government cares about them. For instance, look at Delta State now. The government is making effort. In fairness to Delta State government, they are making effort with respect to job creation. The state even now has a job creation law from the House of Assembly. But then, what we should ask ourselves, this job creation, these programs for job creation, is it biometrically driven? Because for all I know, for more than 16 years now, it is still the same people process that are benefiting, that are still benefiting. The right audience, they never get the right audience. If you check most of the, if you go back 16 years back, you will find out that the right audience, I'm talking about going to the ghetto, I'm talking about going to the interior, the rural areas. Have you captured those regions? What are you doing to make sure that you get the right audience? Because the government does make, like I said, in fairness to the state government, they are investing so much with respect to creating jobs, ensuring that the youths are supported in one or two ways. But are you getting the right audience? Because you were talking about insecurity. Do you know that if people are not well taken care of, people don't, and I do mind this devil workshop, if people are not engaged daily, the tendency for them to be involved in any social vices is on the high side. Okay. So the government should start looking towards that direction. And also, from the Constitution, the third schedule in the Constitution, paragraph L, part 1 of the third schedule, prescribe or made provision for the Nigerian Police Council. And the composition of this Nigerian Police Council is made up of about 39 members. The 36 state governors, the president, the chairman of Police Service Commission, and the Inspector General of Police. These 39 persons or capacity constitute the composition. And what is the duty of this Nigerian Police Council? To organize, to supervise, to administer the police force. Okay. Now, but this body never meets. In other words, it means that the security power is to be jointly shared by the president and the governors. But because of these bodies never meet, you see that there is rise in insecurity. Because if this body meets, you will see that the capacity of the police is going to improve.
Yes, the capacity of the police is going to improve. Chika, so let's look at the factors bringing rise to insecurity in Delta State. I want to leave Nigeria. Let's concentrate in Delta State.
It's important to localize it,
okay,
so that
yes,
we deal with our situation,
yeah.
regardless. You know, this is a very big state. It's actually the big heart of the nation. And so we're supposed to be doing big things, setting the pace for others to follow. And for me, that's leadership. I do not think that if given opportunity to do something, I'll start comparing myself with others. I am a unique person, and I should do unique things. So that being said, I want to encourage the state to do something unusual. And you know, when you are in a river, you are affected by the environment too. But you see, the major issue we have in this country, it's because of there's no control. You know, I want to use the bike incidents as a very good case study for myself. First, crimes are committed by those riding bike. The man who is chairman of the bike riders doesn't even know these guys, because government doesn't set in place checks and balances. For you to be a bike rider, you must do so registration. We must know you. We must do that. Now it has been banned.
People still with cars. People still with keke. People still with cars.
Now I'm trying to use that as a case study. And so things were happening with bike men, and they decided to ban the bike. A lot of people loved it because you see, at a time it looks like the city was calm a bit, but it was just calm. You know, it's like a time bomb. It's waiting. But when I want to give her credit, when Mrapo was the chairman of the Asaba Territory Development, I saw some decency, you know, where the bikesmen will park, where they will pick passengers and all of that. Because control is important. In any society, there must be control. Now, that is what government should have done to ensure that there is control. We know the people riding back, because you know the truth of the matter. We may not be able to say this guy is from Niger, this one is from Nigeria, but we know that they are in our country. What we need to do, or what we needed to do, was to exercise this control, have database, so that people cannot commit crime, whether you're doing bike or... So when they banned the bike, they sent this guy, they took away their means of livelihood. When COVID came, you know what happened? COVID killed people who had underlying ailment. These bike people have an underlying ailment, which is lack of education. So if you take away this, their life is mechanical. They do hard jobs, make money. You know, they ride bike and do that. If you take away this means, they may not be able to, you know, think of a new way of surviving. You can put them aside for a while, but while they are in the closet, they are thinking, how do we survive? Like I said, I just parked to pick somebody today, and somebody was beckoning on me around that Temaku near Midwifery area. Because this is what they do, sell drugs and all of that, you know, because they don't have any other thing. So as a government of a state, we should have been thinking of what do we do for these people? Because they are Nigerians, you cannot send them out of this state. It's to create means. Now, the roads are bad. You said bike, no more. I mentioned it here that you are taking away hundreds of people away from their work. You are not creating a senior man, because that day I was talking with elderly people who I felt they should be thinking for the young people too. And they said, no, the people they are saving is more than the hundreds or thousands of people who are off the street. You have taken their livelihood. And you know, one person, I did experiment yesterday. I on in a can. It was full of water, and there was one dropping from the top. And I discovered that the drop of water coming from the top was shaking the whole bottle of water in a can. See, one bad egg, if oil touches this hand, it can soil the whole finger. So as a government, you don't throw aside some sect of people and say, to hell with you. When that thing happened, I was like, these guys in government, they have advisors, they are educated, they reason. How come they did this? These bad people are not the only criminals. I'm just using it as a case study. That you can't create room for crime and say crime should not happen. Look at what's happening in town now. People go to work and close by 7, and they face kidnapping issues. The other day I saw a girl. I knew when she was looking for employment in Ash. That's the new Asaba General Hospital. And then when she was in the keke, she closed by 7, maybe around 8. And then the keke people were saying they should give, one was saying bring the cloth. She, the spirit can always minister to you. We are human beings that were created by the spirit. And she had to jump out of the keke, and she had a lot of scratch. These are the things happening in town because people are not looking for a means to survive. Kidnap. This one give them quick money. Since the one where they take the hustle, government no value, and more could do. And then we talk about this job issue. It's funny in our country that people even go to school, come out, and government will make them casual workers.
Exactly.
We're not even talking of this useless empowerment they do. I call it useless because I go for training for 1 month, 3 months, I come out, and then the empowerment you give to me is probably maybe a starter pack. Starter pack, maybe I'm going to go and start that thing in my home because if you are a hairdresser, you don't even have the money to go and rent shop. We'll give them credit for that, but it's not enough. This is not empowerment.
If you're just joining us, of course, it's the faculty, a regular public affairs program on Delta Broadcasting Services Sabah every weekday. Today is not going to be any different. We're looking at a very sensitive topical issue, talking about the rising cases of insecurity in our state, Delta State, vis-a-vis Nigeria, however you want to look at it. But most importantly, we're centralizing it to Delta State. I'm going to be going back to my discussant. I've got two panelists here with me, Victor OJ, aka One Box, and of course, Chika Omoso, who are doing justice to this program. Let me come back to you, Victor. We're looking at the rising causes of insecurity. Let's look at, can you give us some gray areas, some issues of security infractions that you have experienced or you have been privy to, so that viewers can know how to move around, how to be careful, and like you made mention, and I've experienced it too. You just drive towards Space Spirits, you park, maybe you want to buy something before you know, or you just park inside your car, boys will start asking, giving you signal. It happens at Coca roundabout, and you see police checkpoints around these places. You see police checkpoints, they are not up to 20 yards or 50 yards from where these things are happening, where you see these people. So what are the reasons behind the rise in insecurity?
If you want to look at the police aspect or the police role, the role of the police, you find out that there's lack of discipline. There's lack of professionality on the part of the police. For instance, you see, there is this gang that always come into us about through the Second Nigeria Bridge. They come to operate almost every now and then, though it has reduced a little bit lately. They come and operate, and you find out that when they come to kidnapping at Sabah, they usually make use of that Second Nigeria Bridge route. Funny enough, there is a police checking point there. So you will not be wondering what happened. Why is it that the police never noticed that these guys are kidnappers? It's because you see them, they are collecting, will I say, is it bribe?
Whatever.
Or whatever. They are always carried away. They are not there to do their professional stop and search. Because if, as a security personnel, you approach a car, you will notice if something is wrong. When you look inside the eyes of the passengers, if the white of the eye is small, you will know that there is something wrong. You will know that there is something that is not right. And as a professional, Some people will be saying that the policeman is using juju, is using jazz. No, it's psychology. When you look into the eyes of the whole passengers, if something is wrong in that bus, you will know.
No.
If someone is with gun, you will know. You will just tell them to park and you search. You will see something. People will think you are using voodoo. It's not voodoo. It's simple psychology. So the police on their own needs to be disciplined. Though the government also has to be blamed. What is the government doing for the police in terms of incentive, in terms of encouragement? How many effort has the government made? For instance, police officers that are killed in action, the state government is going to take care of your family, take care of your children's education, take care of their welfare. If you go to a police barrack in Asaba, it's like where animals are living. What effort has the government done, whether state or federal government? Because the state government cannot say that police duty is not in their hands. No. The state government has a security vote. Lagos state government, they have a package for police officers in Lagos state. Apart from their federal government benefit, the state government of Lagos state government is encourage their police officers. What effort has Delta state government made to encourage the policemen and women in Delta state? What effort have you made to motivate them? That's why you see sometimes when maybe robbery is going on, the police officer will not be encouraged to take that risk, that bold step, because they know that if anything happens to them, there's no hope for their family. But when you put things, incentive on ground, that they know that yes, there are benefits that my family is going to get should anything go wrong, should I be killed or should the police officer be killed in action, KIA, you know that at least there is hope. But there you go, even when they are dead, their wives wanting to collect their benefit, all effort will be put to frustration. So you see that's why you see there's lack of commitment on this part of police officers.
Lack of commitment
yes.
on the part of police officers. Now, Chika, let's look at this critically, looking at the society. What factors, I want to itemize, what are the factors attributable to the rising cases of insecurity? Is it political? Is it frustration? Is it lack of job? Just throw more light on that.
Okay, first I want to commend my fellow panelist there, because he's in government and he's been bold enough to mention that government is one of the biggest problems we have.
Of course.
Now, if we want to itemize, there are a lot of things that are causing our problem. I think as a government, what we should start looking at is whether these guys are margeries or not margeries, so that we don't begin to say, is this group of people that are causing the crime? We must make effort to educate our people. As a human, I've discovered that education has a lot to do for a person. It refines you. It refocuses your mind. You know, you don't easily get swayed away. Because when we talk about hardship, these guys are not the only people facing hardship. Even the so-called educated people are facing hardship, but they are not going into crime. Because education has been able to brush them up and bring them to. So for me, my first and, one big agenda I think government should begin to embark on is to ensure that there is education. So if you say one of the things leading to crime is lack of education, lack of preparation on the part of government. Government is not proactive, they are reactive. Most of the things they do it after the thing has happened. Right now, because of rising crime, as though they were not aware that crimes will rise with what they've done, they begin to look for means to begin to cushion the effect. That's if also they will go for the right means. Then secondly, lack of employment. People don't go to school. The ones that go will come out, there is no job. And government, the people in government, you keep hearing billions and trillions leaving the state. The EFCC will catch these people, we will not see the money. When the money comes out, we will not see the effect of the money. So if we can tackle education and employment, and then talk about welfare, create a society where there's also public-private partnership, because government cannot do it all. Where if you come out from school, you can go and look for the people today that are excelling. They give you their story. When I hear P2B that he borrowed money from UK to do business in Nigeria and he was paying back UK from Nigeria, it's amazing. Now, even in your own country, it's difficult to access funds because a lot of people want to go into business. All of us here know that salary cannot do it. If you must live your life and impact the lives of other people, you must be an entrepreneur. You must be doing business. But the environment does not even encourage business. The government does not give job. You go to school, the government who trained you in school, who created the curriculum, who brought in the teachers, who paid them from the taxpayers' money, will say a graduate is not employable. They talk about employability in this country and it's a slap on them, but they don't even know. Right. Because how can you go to school and you're not employable? Who created the curriculum? Who built the school? I mean, who's guiding who? Who's leading who? So for me, I don't want to begin to count many things. I'm just saying education, lack of education is part of in fact, is a major cause. Lack of employment is another, and then lack of welfare package, because not many will go to school, not many are seeking the white collar job, but a lot of people want to do business. This empowerment they do, they should be serious with empowerment. Yes, they should stop slapping the people. You know, they are not allowing the people to breathe, I should say, because how can you call graduate? I partook of one. I was ashamed after the empowerment program, after the training. The people had to protest for government itself to respond to them. And what did they respond with? To give you a toolkit, you go home and sit down. Then during the campaigns, one was saying that government have realized that you guys need fund. We should vote for the government so that you'll be given empowerment. I mean, you know, capital to start business. So it's like you're brainwashing the people. You're making the people look like they don't even know their left from their right. Exactly. And I mean, this is why a lot of you made a statement at the beginning. It's like people are not selling off their future for nothing. These Yahoo guys that they want to attack these days, if you carry fine car. In fact, as I was coming to that, I was saying, God, give me this kind of car so that police will be stopping me on the way. Because if you carry, although if I carry those cars, they will not stop me because I am their friend, they are my friend. Yes. But what I'm trying to say is that if you carry fine car these days, they will be attacking you, they will stop you. That is when they will now do stop and search. You know, so my brother talked about police not being professional. It's not only being professional. They are overwhelmed. Even the policeman is suffering. He can't pay his children's school fees. He's looking for his house rent. He doesn't care what you are doing because it's like, you know, crime is supposed to be, if we are 10, only one person is committing the crime. Right. But in Nigeria, it's like, if we are 10, 5 persons are criminal. So the police is overwhelmed.
Police being overwhelmed. Let's come to the role of the family in the rising cases of insecurity. One box. The role of the family. Because these children that stay in hotels, that smoke weed, that do Yahoo, that do ritual killings, they are products of a home. What is the role of parenting in the rising cases of insecurity? You can give us references. You have experiences.
The Bible made it very clear that we should train up a child in the way he should grow. And when he or she is old, he will not depart from it. But we all know the truth that the youths it's not just all about the family per se. Because most of all these young boys that are in a hotel, living bad life, they are from good homes. You will see some of them, their fathers are pastors. Some of them were once seminarians. But if you look at the Nigerian system, you find out that the youths are driven into criminality by the government. Because the government has proven incapable over and over that they will continue failing the youth. If you look at, like we said earlier on, lack of welfare, unemployment, unemployable youth, what effort is the government making towards vocational training? I thought about vocational training is very important for any country, any economy. But what is the effort of the government on that? Okay, you have a program for, let's say, youth employment. Normally, the job creation sector of this, let's say, assume the state government, is supposed to be like an office that any Deltan that has interest in any of these vocational skills, you can easily walk into the office. It will not be a seasonal thing. You can easily walk in there. The government will make provision for your training and everything, your welfare, your package. It's not something that should be once in a year. Yes,
you have to know somebody to know somebody.
That is why it is having zero impact in the society, and it must be driven by database driven.
Yes.
Such that you cannot come again. It's a once in a lifetime benefit.
So that
there must be accountability. People should know that. Deltans should know that as a Deltan, I have a right to learn a vocational skill, and the government has a duty of care to set me up.
Yes, and it's once and not.
What effort?
If they set you up, well, why will you come again?
What effort, sir?
50,000, 100,000.
What effort has the state government made with respect to empowering existing businesses.
Exactly.
In terms of grants or loan per se, what effort has the government made to reach out to these existing industries? Because these existing industries can expand. Let's assume you have 4 workers that you employed. The government can say, okay, we want you to have up to 10 staffs, meaning you will have additional 6 staff. Okay, what are you looking at? You say, okay, you need 40 million. The government will say, we will give you 60 million naira. And you will pay us 2% after 5 years or 10 years. That is, you are encouraging existing business. Those existing businesses can now start employing. You will start see that it will not reduce the unemployment rate and crime rate per se.
No, they'll be stealing.
That's a good one. Now, we're still, if you're just joining us, we're looking at the rising cases of insecurity in Nigeria with 2 very wonderful gentlemen with me in the studio, Victor O.J. Wongbox, and of course, Chika Omoso. And they've been throwing serious light into the advantages and the indices and the evaluation index of the rising case of insecurity. We looked at, let's look at education. A lot of the kids we see that are prone to being susceptible to influence, external influences, cravings that will lead to security breaches are children of school age. You see a lot of them moving around, like we mentioned under the Coca Bridge. We see them in groups moving around, dawn and masters in the evening. You see them under Interboal. Now, what is the responsibility? Whose responsibility is it? Because it's a very complex question right now. Whose responsibility is it to get these kids off the street and to see that they go to school? Is it the parents? Is it the government? Is it? I don't know. I don't know what.
It's a shared responsibility between the government and the family. The government has the
most
duty
of
of
these
care.
children do not even seem to have a family.
That's where the OVC comes in, the orphan and vulnerable children. The government now has the duty of even our mental health citizens. We are not even going there now because we have some of our citizens that have mental health issues. What effort is the government making to take care of the welfare of such category of citizens?
So I agree it's a shared responsibility, but the more responsibility lies on the government. You see, even in some of, when we want to do some things, they will make reference to some of our big brothers, our senior brothers outside. Sometimes they will tell you America is 250 years. But I know in life there's what we call leverage. Leverage is something that is existing, you now tap into it and begin to work your own. You are not looking to discover it by yourself. These guys, they discover some of these things themselves and all that. You can go to Germany, even if you're not a German, and get free education. Why can't we as citizens of Nigeria have free education? Now, if you don't want to say free, for example, in America, you can go to school on credit. There are a lot of these criminals you're saying, some of them are graduates, some of them, they are brains. If they had access to education, they'll be doing excellently well. They can even undergo research, do research, bring up things that will help the nation. But why is it that our government is not thinking, what's government there for? You carry a large entourage, you do nothing. At the end of 4 years, 8 years, you get out of office. You repeat what your predecessor has done. There is no difference. There is no impact. There is no blueprint. We don't have a target that in the next 10 years, 20 years, this state will be at this level.
The government lacks ideology. You see,
it's annoying.
You see, in the 70s, in the 60s, you find out that our leaders back then, they were driven by an ideology. Take for example, the People's Redemption Party. I'm talking about Wole Soyinka, Aminu Kano, and the rest of them. You find out that these men were driven by ideology for the rural community, rural amenities, rural agriculture. But today, how many of our political parties or politicians will you point and say they have an ideology? Are you aware that most of these politicians, they enjoyed free education internationally and locally. They enjoyed a lot of benefits, but today you will see them making sure that education is not very expensive.
Too expensive. It's not affordable.
Currently, education there is nothing you will point that an average Deltan or Nigerian is benefiting from the government on a monthly basis. And usually, we are supposed to be benefiting on a monthly basis as citizens of Nigeria. Are you aware?
Yes.
But you can't point one benefit and say that this is what either Nigerians or Deltans are getting on a monthly basis from the government.
Yes, interesting.
It's so painful. It's so unfortunate.
People can't afford their school fees, and you say they should not go into.
There should be free education. Education should be free. Do you know that before Gaddafi died, that petrol was free, gas was free, housing was free,
and they
health
even
was
called him
free.
a bad guy. They even
Look,
killed him.
Everything was free in Libya. They
In
were
our country,
enjoying.
our own are living. They are living.
Excuse me,
Big.
sir.
Nobody is doing anything.
Do you know that, in fairness to the northern governors, some of the northern states, such as Sokoto and Kano State, are you aware that these two states funds marriages?
Yes,
for the
mass marriages
and the welfare package for the families to start up their family.
Do they think these people are
in the south of Nigeria? Name one state that funds.
Even the Saudi Arabia,
married.
some of us are going to. When you graduate
Population
in Saudi
growth.
Arabia, there are things.
That's why when there's
for
election,
you.
they will be shouting that they're rig election. Their population is more than our own because they encourage population. In Saudi Arabia, are you aware that if you are caught with condom, it's a big crime? Are you aware that it's a crime in the UAE, in the Muslim community? They don't make use of condom because of they see that you are against multiplication production, because God encourages them to go to the
And
world.
that raises a point that population is not our problem. It is lack of management. We don't have plan. We're not managing the things we have well. We are busy stealing our money and investing it in other countries.
Primitive accumulation of wealth.
I don't understand. Where are these guys coming from?
Let's look at the role of the church in the rising cases of insecurity. What can the church do? What role can the church do?
I'm a Christian, but I beg your pardon to say that the church has lost it. They have lost the grip on the people. They have lost the grip on control. You see, I used to tell them, I'm a Catholic, and I used to tell them, these people, mission, make sure that we went to school, we got scholarship, we have free hospitals, and all of that. What is the church doing currently? Most of our churches are the most expensive. Most expensive schools, most of our schools is the most expensive, and we operate private hospitals. It's also quite expensive. So what is the church giving to the people? Because these guys came with a lot of goodies. They had control on the people. They will send you to school. They will give you scholarship. They will give you employment. So they can say do this, and then you are responsive to the church. Now the church only benefits if a member becomes somebody somewhere. You now give to the church. The church even don't have plan that in the next 10 or 20 years, we want to produce the governor, we want to produce the president. You understand? Church, when the mission came, they came with a mission. That's why we call them mission. They did not come just existing. Whatever comes, we take. They had a plan. What is the church planning now? The church is not pushing their people somewhere to. It is bring that churches are doing now. So if God blesses you, you bless the church. But the church is not building you. Yes. Our brothers on the other religion, they build their people. They create platforms for their people. If you go to the north, he mentioned grant here. I was even going to tell him, forget grant first. Let's get loan. If you can get loan from the government and pay back, you'll be serious. You do your business. But in the north, you get good grants. There are some people who they don't have employment, but they are getting good grant for their NGOs, and they are living, they're employing people, they are doing things, they are solving problems that NGOs should solve.
All right, thank you. Because of time, let's look at the role of the church.
In the north, you can't give out loan and collect interest. It's against their Muslim faith. So, in fairness to some churches, I don't go to church, though I believe in God. But in fairness to some churches like in Christ Embassy, they encourage talent. Look at Frank Edward. Look at Bucci. There are a lot of musicians that their life turned around through Christ Embassy. These other churches, they call Odozi Obodo. They are also into voc and tech for their members. And they set you up with the skill you chose. So, in fairness to at least these two churches.
Referenced.
Yes, just these two. Though generally the church has failed the Nigerian people. And of course, the government knows that religion is the opium of the masses. You see our government involved in corrupt practices of funding pilgrimage for Muslim and Christian.
That is where I have
90 billion naira was allocated for this past Muslim pilgrimage, that 30 persons died in Mecca because of there was no hotel, they were sleeping on the road.
After 90
until
billion,
now,
so
the investigation is still ongoing, yet no results.
How many people spend
and
the 90 million?
And Nigeria is still in the state.
Do you know what we can
go
achieve with 90
Israel,
billion in this country, industrialization?
My goodness.
topic today. We looked at the issue of rising cases of insecurity in Nigeria, and of course, two very wonderful gentlemen. I want to appreciate you for your time out on the faculty. Victor J. Wongbox, thanks for coming on the program.
Thanks for having me.
And of course, Chika Moso, thank you for coming on
Thank you. Viewers, we need to rise up and shine the light on this country. A lot of things are going wrong. We need to set the pace.
One last word, Victor.
We should know that for Nigeria to become better is a shared responsibility between the government and its people. You have your role to play. The government has its role to play. So accountability should come from both parties. All
right. Thank you very much. Of course, to everyone that's made this program a success, I want to wish our viewers, most importantly, a beautiful afternoon. MISHACH OZAH is your anchor. I'll return back again tomorrow for this program. Thank you.